What's up, guys? It's Rob here, and today I'm going to be looking at Sundial stock, which has actually been seeing a bit of a sell-off today, and not just today, but over the past while in general. Sundial has been trending down, and that's leaving a bunch of people wondering, when is Sundial going to pump again, right? When are we going to see a huge pump above 420, which we saw last time? The last time we saw it was during the GameStop pump. Reached above 420 and didn't quite hold. So people are wondering, when are we going to see it get above 420 again? And is it going to hold when it gets there? Well, there are three situations that I can see in the short to midterm future that would lead to a pump above 420. And I'm going to talk about those in this video and hopefully give you guys some insight into what could lead to a pump above 420 and a hold above 420, most importantly, right? You don't just want to get above 420 and then get some losses when it drops down. You want to buy the stock and have it hold above 420, maybe sell some options while it's up there and make some money over the long term, right? So the first thing that I could see pumping Sundial above 420 is a Wall Street bets push for the stock, right? So the past two big pumps that we've had have been because of Wall Street bets. This was the GameStop pump. It did get above 420 then. This was the AMC pump. It didn't quite get above 420 then. And both of these times, Sundial wasn't pumping because it was Sundial. It was pumping because GameStop was pumping, and Sundial is kind of a meme stock as well. Some people on Wall Street Bets were talking about it, but it wasn't nearly as popular as GameStop or AMC. And if we got a dedicated push for Sundial on Wall Street Bets, that would send this stock soaring. I mean, it would almost certainly break 420, right? Because this is what it was able to do when GameStop was pumping, right? This was a sympathy move with GameStop and it got above 420. If a Sundial move came, if people on Wall Street Bets really focused on Sundial and tried to pump this one up, this could go, I don't even know where it could go. It could go way above 420, probably maybe even to all-time highs, right, of over $10. If you look at the long term, this stock was at $13 at one point. So, I mean, I'm no guarantees here, but this could go really high if Wall Street Bets took a focus on it and really started pumping this up. However, if it did reach above 420, it probably wouldn't stay there. Just it would stay there for a bit maybe, but not over the real long term. If the only catalyst for this thing going over 420 was Wall Street Bets pump. And that's just because there'd be no fundamental reason, and you would kind of see the same thing happen to this stock that's happened with GME, which is, it makes some high highs and then it crashes down and maybe it comes back up, but it can't really sustain the highs, right? It doesn't stay as high as it pumped. It ends up kind of trending down. Same thing with AMC, somewhat. It's kind of in the process of doing that right now. It goes way up and then it comes down because when these big pumps happen, a lot of people who bought around here end up selling, and no one wants to buy when it's dropping. So that's kind of what I think would happen with Sundial if it was a big pump due to a Wall Street Bets push. The second situation where I could see Sundial pumping above 420 is if there was a legitimate short squeeze, right? Not something necessarily that Wall Street Bets puts together, but an actual short squeeze. And the reason I think this could happen is because shorts have been increasing the pressure they've been putting on this stock as they see, right, it had this big run-up. Before the run-up, it wasn't necessarily trading this high. It wasn't necessarily the best company to be buying. However, once it did pump up, a lot of shorts were looking at it and saying, hey, we can make some money on the downside, maybe push it back down to where it was before, around 20 cents, 40 cents. That's a pretty decent profit for them if they're shorting. Even now at 80 cents, a lot of shorts could be piling in here. Certainly around $1.40, $1.50, where it was during the AMC pump. A lot of shorts could be piling in, and you can kind of see the implied volatility has been rising. That could potentially be because short interest has been rising as well. So a second catalyst that could raise this thing to 420 is a legitimate short squeeze, and I think that would only happen if we got to around the $2 level, right? This thing would have to pump to around the $2 level, and then shorts would probably start to worry, right? They weren't too worried around here when it pumped up to $1.50 because they were only down, they were down 100% on their money, but that's not uncommon for these kinds of stocks or these kind of penny meme stocks to pump up 100% and then drop, which it did. But if it got to around $2, a lot of shorts would probably have to start covering their positions, and that's what would drive this thing above 420. However, once again, if that were the catalyst that drove this thing to 420, it would not likely stay there, in my opinion, right? As the shorts bought their shares back at 420 or above, or, really anywhere above $2, they'd be pushing this thing all the way up to 420. But the more long-term investors who were holding, maybe people were buying in here, or people who bought in here and missed out on the last opportunity to sell above 420, they'd be selling their stuff and probably push this thing pretty low back down. It would probably get back around here. This is actually probably the worst case scenario for the stocks long term if it does pump up above those levels, right? If Wall Street Bets buys it, then it would not necessarily stay above 420, but it would still stay higher just because there are a bunch of Redditors holding the stock and believing in it. If a short squeeze happened, just a pure short squeeze, not instigated by Wall Street Bets, then I could see the stock, kind of returning to its levels. And that would really be a situation where you got to sell during the short squeeze if you want to make money, in my opinion. And the third situation in which I can see this stock rising above 420 and actually holding, right? This is the only situation in which I see the stock actually holding above 420. And fortunately, I think this is the most likely situation to occur, is cannabis legalization. If the government decides to legalize cannabis in the United States, I see not just Sundial, but all the weed stocks. You could look at Aurora Cannabis or Tilray. All these stocks would probably see a huge rise, probably break these highs that they saw during the GameStop pump, right? This had nothing to do with cannabis legalization. This was a GameStop pump. So Sundial would see a lot of growth as well. The whole cannabis industry would see a lot of growth. It broke 420 last time. I think it would smash through 420 if cannabis was legalized, and it would actually hold above that point, right? It might not hold the highs necessarily, right? I don't know what the highs would be. They might be $6, $7. They might be completely new highs above $10. Who knows? It wouldn't necessarily hold those highs, but I do think it would hold above 420 in a situation where cannabis was legalized, just because that's a real fundamental change for the stock. That means that the stock can actually become a lot more profitable in the future and would be a decent investment. And that's what's going to attract big money from Wall Street into this stock and all the cannabis stocks, really. So those were my thoughts on what 3 catalysts could be that would pump Sundial above 420. If you guys enjoyed the video, please like, comment, subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next one.